What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Bold Business. I'm your host, as usual, Philip Michael, and let's get right to this week's trends. And trend number one, you may have seen this. SpaceX's Starship prototype landed after a pretty successful test flight, only to explode after landing. Thank God there were no passengers aboard, but it is pretty scary to think about. Well, SpaceX had tests in November and February, and they both blew up on impact. So this is a step in the right direction because this one only blew up a few minutes later. But the team has more test vehicles ready to go for the near future. Now, if you're not familiar with SpaceX, Elon Musk started the Starship program because he wants to get 1 million people living on Mars by 2050. Now, even with these recent explosions, Musk is confident that it'll be safe enough for people to fly in them by 2023. Now, number one, it's an incredibly bold vision, and Elon Musk is one of those visionaries that thinks so far outside the box, even outside the realm of our planet. And it's a bold goal, like we're bold here, to get people there. And you're gonna have to try stuff, and things like this happen. They will happen, but it's kind of scary to think that if people are on there, that they'll blow up. So if and when we get to the point where we're gonna take people to Mars, we gotta make sure that these things actually work. Because the worst thing that can happen is that people blow up in the middle of space somewhere and no one knows about it, and no one is there to report back if we actually got to Mars. So, but best of luck to Elon Musk. We hope it works out, and I for one would love to go to Mars one day. So let's see where this goes. Now, trend and news item number two. A Nike executive had to step down because her son runs a sneaker reselling business. Ann Herbert was the vice president and general manager, of the North American division of Nike. She was responsible for Nike's new direct-to-consumer strategy, which includes the sneakers app, where her son and resellers like him do a lot of buying. Now, her son used her credit card to buy over $100,000 of limited edition shoes. He claims that he never got any inside information from his mother or coupon codes. Nike and Adidas have a lot of issues with resellers buying up a bulk of their supply and then selling to fans for huge markups. They use bots and all sorts of strategies, and there's yet to be a crackdown on this. Now, it's one of those things. Whenever you have a popular hot market, sneakers are hot. They've always been hot. They're going to continue to be hot, most likely. When you have these type of things where there's a lot of commercial activity, secondary markets will always form. It's just like when you have a hot ticket in town, when Beyonce comes to the Barclays Center in New York, you know there's going to be people waiting to buy it. It sells out. There's scalpers outside that then sell you at a huge markup. It's just a natural function, a byproduct of commerce and capitalism. Now, this here is a particularly egregious situation because even if he's telling the truth and he never got any type of inside information, the optics are horrible. It was done with her credit card. So naturally they have to, there's no way you can wiggle your way out. Even if innocent, the optics are just too bad. That said, that situation aside, it is interesting to see whenever a new market forms and how these submarkets eventually and inevitably will always form. And another trend that you see from this is these young kids becoming increasingly enterprising. You see it all the time. And you even have startups now that are allowing people to securitize, meaning turn sneakers into pieces of stock that you could buy into those sneakers because the value is jumping like that and people want to get a piece of that. So it's an interesting trend to follow. And I think it may be one of those things in this decade when we look back 10 years from now that one of the critical, just like Uber and Tinder and so on and so forth, dating and sharing a ride with a stranger, how that became normalized, I think this is one of those things you'll see too. So this is one of those such things, but again, you can't use your mother's credit card who's an executive with Nike. You're asking for trouble, so got to do a little better there. Now, in other related news, Jack Dorsey's fintech company Square bought a majority stake in Jay-Z's streaming service Tidal for $297 million. Okay? That's almost $300 million. Jay-Z and Tidal's other existing artist shareholders, including his wife Beyonce and Rihanna, will still have ownership in the company, and Jay will join Square's board of directors. Now, Jack Dorsey's plan with Square and Cashapp was economic empowerment, and that's what he plans to bring to Tidal. He says he wants to focus on giving small artists the tools and exposure to build themselves up and create a career doing what they love. Now, this is one of those things, again, you look at media, one of those strong industries that were monopolized essentially by three pillars: print, TV, radio. The internet came around, allowing people to become media companies. That evolved into social media, digital media, where individuals become influencers, right? So now this whole idea that you need this big machine to support you and blow you up, it doesn't really exist anymore. Just take a guy like JC. He became a rapper, he became an executive, then he created a platform effectively disrupting the industry he came from the standpoint of being a music record executive. It's just the evolution of how it goes. Now they're creating a framework where an industry that is notorious, if you will, for exploiting its artists, in spite of what you see with the images where they have their jewelry in the big cars. These young kids, they get an advance, which is effectively a loan. So basically, you get that money, but you have to pay that money back. That comes out of your profits. And everything that you can think of that a record label really should be paying for you, providing for you, studio time, marketing, so on and so forth, that comes from your budget, meaning your money that you got. So you think you're getting one, you're getting a loan. And if you blow that, you're practically in debt. Not practically, you are in debt. So there's a lot of dynamics there that young kids don't necessarily understand when they get in there and they get a little famous, and then that money runs out, and maybe you have a short window. So this is a tremendous development. It's awesome to see that two totally different on the surface industries, coming from a really hot, something that grew from the Black community, hip hop, the essence of urban culture. And then you have a tech guy that started Twitter, and they come together and they bridge the two. And this is really, it makes me so happy to see, because it's financial inclusion on the highest level, and hopefully they can help some of these kids make some money in the music industry, and it can bridge the two gaps and something that can continue into the future. Long rant, yes, but short applause. Round of applause for the two of them. Awesome. Can't wait to see what's next.